All right. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the election of 1800. We're going to be talking about Federalists versus Republican Democrats, or Democrat-Republican, sorry. A slave revolt in Virginia. And then I'll be introducing a written reflection assignment. Okay? Alright. Just wait. Okay? Alright. So, lecture notes. If you had these downloaded, you could pull them up, but whatever. Okay, so early republic, we're talking about 1800 to 1824. How about Madison? Can you read this? Okay. All right, so 1800, you have an election between who? Who are the main candidates? John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. We have an electoral map here. Where are the bases for these two factions, Federalists and Democratic Republicans? Where are the bases? You understand what I mean when I say, where's your base?
Isn't it Massachusetts?
Massachusetts, New England for who?
Jefferson, Federalists.
For the Federalists. So that's
Virginia.
For the Democratic Republicans.
yeah, so the South basically, for Thomas Jefferson and John Adams. Last class, we looked at this a little bit. So here's sort of a general overview for the platforms. Thomas Jefferson favored strict interpretation of the U.S. Constitution and more power to the states, worried that the Federalists were building an aristocracy via centralized power, a national bank, and other measures, emphasized individual rights and rural agrarian interests, opposed strong entangling alliances, especially with Britain, because Jefferson is what?
He's like pro-French.
Yeah, he's a Francophile, right? And then criticized the Alien and Sedition Acts, argued they violated Republican principles and free expression. Then you have John Adams' platform. Federalist supported a stronger national government, including expanded federal powers over the states, favored policies that promoted commercial growth, banking, and closer economic ties with Britain rather than revolutionary France, supported a standing military/navy, especially as this, we'll see, somewhat of a quasi-war going on with France during this time, and was connected to Federalist measures such as the Alien and Sedition Act, which were defended by his administration as necessary for national security. All right, Alien and Sedition Act, that's kind of important. I added this to the notes late. These limited free speech, made it a crime to criticize the federal government or its officials, targeting Democratic Republican newspapers and violating the First Amendment. This is important because there are a number of high-profile cases wherein critics of the Adams administration are jailed and they become somewhat of martyrs for the Democratic Republicans' cause. This really backfires on Adams. Okay, looking at these two platforms, I'm kind of curious. Where would you vote? John Adams.
Democratic Republic.
Why?
I'm a big less government guy.
Okay, less
I
government.
would also say Jefferson just because of the free speech element.
Okay, I heard Adams here with Ava. What are you thinking?
I think I would be more in support for a larger government, even though I also wouldn't want it to fall back into the monarchy it just came out of. I think after the states just got freed from Britain, there would be a lot of chaos and a lot of division between them, and it would be important that there's some kind of enough control between all of them that it wouldn't get crazy after all of these states are kind of on the high now.
Okay, yeah, and what are the Federalists are looking at something that's going on globally and basically trying to present the case. We don't want that to happen here. What is that?
What's happening in France where the revolutionary leaders are now being like killed?
Yeah, and for Jefferson, initially, this is something that's downstream from the American Revolution, and he kind of was owning that. But then, for Adams, it's like, yeah, you can own that. Look at what's happening to the people who are in charge. Look at what's happening to the intellectual class. They're turning the guillotine on them, right? And so all of this is sort of important in understanding sort of the climate of the time. There is maybe a little bit of a populist streak in Jefferson's sort of stance. That said, does he really want everybody participating in democracy? No, certainly not. Anyway, so election happens. You have the Democratic Republicans. They carry much of the South. Adams has, and the Federalists have, their base is in New England. There is this idea that, what's going to happen now? This is the first peaceful transfer of power between political parties in globally, right? This is not the norm historically. It's not the norm even to this day. Very often, when a country has an election, you have sort of a government coup, something like that. Chaos. I'm coming from Thailand. I think Thailand's had 35 coups or something in the last not even 100 years. So,
Coup every 3 years.
Yeah, you look it up. It's like something. I think that they've had the most. I remember reading that that Nigeria had its first peaceful transfer of power after an election in 2012. And I think this is the largest country in Africa. There's a guy named Goodluck Jonathan who transferred power from his party to the next. So yeah, this is revolutionary sort of on its own. I have a quick video, and so it comes to be.
Cast your mind back to the fact that.
So even though it's an election, it comes to be sort of known as the Revolution of 1800, right? Because of the transfer of power associated with it. Okay. It's also important to note that this election was hotly contested in the presses, right? Like I said, with the Alien and Sedition Acts, you had a number of journalists jailed by the Adams administration, and Adams and Jefferson remained somewhat enemies and on bad terms for most of the rest of their lifetimes. Did we already talk about this? Their deaths. Their deaths are kind of interesting. They reconcile later on in life, and you can read their correspondence in their final years. They die on the same day, July 4th, within hours of one another. And Jefferson dies first, even though he's younger. And there's an account that Adams, not knowing Jefferson has died already, has something to say like, it looks like Jefferson is going to beat me once again, something outliving me, but he'd actually already died. So fascinating. Remember, Jefferson writes the Declaration of Independence. Adams edited it with him. And then they become bitter rivals, and then you get a bit of a reconciliation later on in life. All right. So following this revolution of 1800, or sort of coinciding with it, you also have internal conflict budding, especially with the black population. The black population and some other maybe advocates for their cause are looking to the Caribbean. They're looking at Haiti, where there's a revolution that is occurring. France is fairly unstable throughout this entire period. And they lose this colony in the Caribbean, Haiti. Anybody know anything? Where is Haiti?
Border with the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, it shares an island with where?
Dominican.
The Dominican, yeah. And in Virginia, you get a slave revolt led by a blacksmith, an enslaved blacksmith named Gabriel Prosser. Well, it never comes to fruition. There is flooding in Richmond. They have planned to attack Richmond, seize weapons, and kidnap the governor of Virginia at the time, James Monroe. The plot is exposed. You have there's flooding that gets in the way of their plan. Has anybody ever been to Richmond, Virginia? Yeah. I don't know if you remember this, but like the sort of makeup of the city is kind of interesting. It's like a huge slope. And at the bottom of the slope is this area called Shockoe Bottom. And it's and that's where the flooding occurred. It still occurs to this day. And that's where Gabriel is captured and then also executed. And if you go there to this day, you can go see the African slave grounds, is what they refer to them as. And you can see where apparently Gabriel is buried underneath Broad Street, which is like it's the main street in Richmond, right where the Capitol is. Richmond is also what later on in American history? Anybody know? Serves as the capital for
Oh yeah, the South.
Confederacy. Yeah. So a lot of history, very complicated city. It's the city with it used to have on Monument Avenue all the Confederate monuments that have since been removed. But yeah, I definitely recommend a tour if you ever get a chance to go there. Like I said, this is all coinciding with the Haitian Revolution. This is something that is going on for about 15 years in Haiti. This is the first black-led republic after removing French authorities. This inspired free and enslaved people in the U.S., but is also a source of extreme anxiety for white Southerners, right? Because the revolution it's considerably violent. There's rape,
It's like
mass
the
execution. What?
First successful slave revolt.
The Haitian Revolution, yeah. And it's just also an example of like a populace taking back the reins of power from a colonial power. And this is something, this is just like kind of out in the ether, just the same way as the French Revolution is out in the ether. And also coincides with a lot of ideas about race and science that are being considered. A lot of Enlightenment thinkers are still what we would call retrograde or racist in their sort of understanding of race and racial hierarchy, right? You have white supremacist views that permeate through a lot of Enlightenment thinkers, and that includes Thomas Jefferson. Okay, Thomas Jefferson has a very complicated relationship with black people in close proximity to him. He is. It seems highly likely that he has a relationship with a woman. Anybody know her name?
They were like on vacation or something.
went to France,
He went to France with her. Is her name? Remember? Okay, so his wife has died.
Does it start with an S?
Helen Pitts is her name. So his wife has died, and he has taken on. It seems pretty clear, a mistress, and that mistress is likely his wife's sister, because his wife, because Jefferson's wife's father had relations with a slave on his plantation, and so apparently Helen Pitts looked very similar to his deceased wife. And yes, and then they traveled to France together. While in France, Jefferson has an affair with a French official's wife. Like he is kind of he is a philanderer. Yeah. Maybe that's why he liked France so much, because he had such a good time there or something. And if you want to read there, I have from Jefferson's notes on the state of Virginia, some of his more inflammatory sort of comments about sort of the capabilities of black people. Notably, at the end of his life, he frees Helen Pitts and also her closest relatives who are working on his plantation. And this is something that is whispered about and gossiped about by those around them while he is alive. Okay, but I think that there is some sort of ambiguity over what the real extent is. Like, did he father children with Helen Pitts, etc. But you can look into that in your own time. All right, so the Revolution of 1800. I've got a cartoon here. What's going on in this picture? Oh, sorry. What's going on in this picture here? So this is young America.
Sitting on a lion.
What is America? How is America?
It's a baby.
Yeah,
and then the
Just
line
like
is Britain.
Yes.
And then the snakes are like,
The political parties?
yeah, the political party.
Yeah, the chaos within the country. Yeah, America is what? It's this new country. We are sort of unclear where it's going, but you see sort of the turmoil and chaos depicted here. This is not, a time of, peace necessarily. There is this fear of mob rule that the Federalists have voiced concern about. The Democratic Republicans, again, they are sort of making the appeal to the common man. Is that genuine? Is it totally genuine? No, not really, right? But it's politics, right? All sort of politics isn't beanball or beanbag. Have you heard that? David Axelrod's, he's like Obama's strategist. He's kind of famous for saying that. It's vicious, right? Like it requires manipulation. With Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans sort of taking over, you have contradictions sort of presenting themselves, especially as it relates to the black population of America, as well as the female population, right? Females are not full participants in the political process. That said, they're very often used as symbols, right? We use sort of the female image as in a lot of our symbolism here, right? What's one of the more...
Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, it's the most almost cliched example, the Statue of Liberty. And you do have some figures who have considerable clout. One name that you should probably put a star next to. We've already talked about Abigail Adams. One of her close associates, Mercy Otis Warren. Has anybody ever heard this name before? Okay. Well, she is sort of an advocate, a writer, a satirist during the Revolution. She is a close associate of Abigail Adams, and following John Adams' ascent to the presidency, they have a falling out because of criticism that she levels against Adams and his administration. I have a quick little video on her. Oh wait, no. You can watch this one on your own time. That is by prominent historian whose name I'm drawing a blank on. The one I'm going to play you is from the official White House YouTube page, but it has some very unsettling AI use of AI. Okay. Falling out. She has a falling out with whom? Abigail.
John,
Yeah. I'm getting kind of a thin-skinned vibe from John Adams a bit. Right? I don't know. All right. Let's see here. So now we have your LEQ in class. LEQ. Let's see here. Okay, so early republic and the meaning of the Constitution. I want you to evaluate the extent to which the conflicts of the 1790s over Hamilton's program, Civil Liberties, Alien and Seditions Act, and foreign policy, Jay's Treaty, and the French Revolution reflected enduring tensions over federal power versus liberty envisioned at the Constitutional Convention. Okay? You have the rest of class to work on that. I will put that in the gap. If anybody has any questions, we'll talk.